Namaste, Dandava Pranam. By the instruction and grace of our spiritual master, Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa, Sripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj, we are here reading Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Canto 2, The Cosmic Manifestation, Chapter 8, Text 6. Dautatma Purusha Krishna Padamulam Namunchati Mukta Sarva Pariklesha Pantasva Sharanam Yata. A pure devotee of the Lord, whose heart has once been cleansed by the process of devotional service, never relinquishes the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, for they fully satisfy him, as a traveler is satisfied at home after a troubled journey. Purport: one who is not a pure devotee of the Supreme Lord Krishna is not completely cleansed in the heart. But a perfectly cleansed person never quits the devotional service of the Lord. In discharging such devotional service, as ordered by Brahmaji to Narada in the preaching of Srimad Bhagavatam, sometimes a representative of the Lord engaged in preaching work meets various so-called difficulties. This was exhibited by Lord Nityananda when he delivered the two fallen souls Jagai and Madai. And similarly, Lord Jesus Christ was crucified by the non-believers. But such difficulties are very gladly suffered by the devotees in preaching, because in such activities, although apparently very severe, the devotees of the Lord feel transcendental pleasure, because the Lord is satisfied. Prahlad Maharaj suffered greatly, but still he never forgot the lotus feet of the Lord. This is because a pure devotee of the Lord is so purified in his heart that he cannot leave the shelter of Lord Krishna in any circumstances. There is no self-interest in such service. The progress of culturing knowledge by the jnanis or the bodily gymnastics by the yogis are ultimately given up by the respective performers. But a devotee of the Lord cannot give up the service of the Lord, for he is ordered by his spiritual master. Pure devotees like Narada and Nityananda Prabhu take up the order of the spiritual master as the sustenance of life. They do not mind what becomes of the future of their lives. They take the matter very seriously, as the order comes from the higher authority, from the representative of the Lord, or from the Lord himself. The example set herein is very appropriate. A traveler leaves home to search for wealth in far distant places, sometimes in the forest and sometimes on the ocean and sometimes on hilltops. Certainly there are many troubles for the traveler when he is in such unknown places, but all such troubles are at once mitigated as soon as the sense of his family affection is remembered, and as soon as he returns home, he forgets all such troubles on the way. A pure devotee of the Lord is exactly in a family tie with the Lord, and therefore he is undeterred in discharging his duty in a full affectionate tie with the Lord. Dandava Pranam Devahuti Didi.
Dandava Pranam Maharaj. Very nice of you to allow me to join this reading session of yours. Somehow I never find time, at least when you read, I will make it as much as possible. If possible. Today I could.
You're always welcome to join, and it's only by the grace of Sripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj that I'm given the opportunity to read Bhagavatam. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to. Only by the order of Gurudev can we actually read these things.
True. And I have not got that book, Canto 2. Are you going to exhibit Shloka? I should have brought it.
I can. I will share the link with you. Copy in the chat here. Do you see the link there?
Yeah.
Okay. So text 7.
Yes.
Yadatu mat Yadatu mato brahman Diharambos yadatu bi Yadrichaya hetunava Bhavanto channate yata. O learned Brahmana, the transcendental spirit soul is different from the material body. Does he acquire the body accidentally or by some cause? Will you kindly explain this, for it is known to you? Purport. Maharaj Parīkṣit, being a typical devotee, is not only satisfied by confirming the importance of hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam from the representative of Brahmaji by disciplic succession, but he is still more anxious to establish the philosophical basis of Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is the science of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and as such, all questions that may arise in the mind of the serious student must be cleared by the statements of the authority. A person on the path of devotional service may inquire from his spiritual master all about the spiritual position of God and the living beings. From Bhagavad Gita, as well as from Srimad Bhagavatam, it is known that qualitatively the Lord and the living beings are one. The living being in the conditioned state of material existence is subjected to many transmigrations by continuous changing of the material body. But what are the causes of the material embodiment of the part and parcel of the Lord? Maharaj Parīkṣit inquires about this very important matter for the benefit of all classes of candidates on the path of self-realization and devotional service to the Lord. Indirectly, it is confirmed that the Supreme Being, the Lord, makes no such material changes of body. He is spiritually whole, with no difference between his body and his soul. Unlike the conditioned soul, the liberated living beings who associate with the Lord in person are also exactly like the Lord. Only the conditioned souls awaiting liberation are subjected to change of bodies. How was the process first begun? In the process of devotional service, the first step is to take shelter of the spiritual master, and then inquire from the spiritual master about all about the process. This inquiry is essential for immunity to all kinds of offenses on the path of devotional service. If one is fixed in devotional service like Maharaj Parīkṣit, he must still inquire from the realized spiritual master all about this. In other words, the spiritual master must also be well versed and learned so that he may be able to answer all these inquiries from the devotees. Thus, one who is not well versed in the authorized scriptures and not able to answer all such relevant inquiries should not pose as a spiritual master for the matter of material gain. It is illegal to become a spiritual master if one is unable to deliver the disciple. Text 8. Asidhyad udarat padmam loka samstana lakshanam yavan ayam vai purusha iyatthayai prutak tavan asaviti prokta samstavaya vavan iva. If the Supreme Personality of Godhead, from whose abdomen the lotus stem sprouted, is possessed of a gigantic body according to his own caliber and measurement, then what is the specific difference between the body of the Lord and those of common living entities? Purport. One should note how Maharaj Parīkṣit intelligently put questions before his spiritual master for scientific understanding of the transcendental body of the Lord. It has been described in many places before this that the Lord assumed a gigantic body like that of Karna-Daksha Vishnu, from whose hair pores innumerable universes have generated. The body of Garbhodaksha Vishnu is described as sprouting the lotus stem, which all the planets of the universe remain, and at the top of the stem is the lotus flower on which Lord Brahma is born. In the creation of the material world, the Supreme Lord undoubtedly assumes a gigantic body, and living entities also get bodies, big or small, according to necessity. For example, an elephant gets a gigantic body according to its needs, and so also an ant gets its body according to its needs. Similarly, if the personality of Godhead assumes a gigantic body to accommodate the universes or the planets of a particular universe, there is no difference in the principle of assuming or accepting a particular type of body in terms of necessity. A living being and the Lord cannot be distinguished simply by the difference in the magnitude of the body. So the answer depends on the specific significance of the body of the Lord as distinguished from the body of the common living being. Text 9. Ajashrajati bhutani bhutatmayad anugrahat tadrishe yena tadrupam nabi padma samudbhava. Brahma, who is not born of a material source, but of the lotus flower coming out of the navel abdomen of the Lord, is the creator of all those who are materially born. Of course, by the grace of the Lord, Brahma was able to see the form of the Lord. Purport. The first living creature, Brahma, is called Aja, because he did not take his birth from the womb of a mother materially born. He was born directly from the bodily expansion of the lotus flower of the Lord. Thus, it is not readily understandable whether the body of the Lord and that of Brahma are of the same quality or different. This must also be clearly understood. One thing is, however, certain. Brahma was completely dependent on the mercy of the Lord, because after his birth, he could create living beings by the Lord's grace only, and he could see the form of the Lord. Whether the form seen by Brahma is of the same quality as that of Brahma is a bewildering question, and Maharaj Parīkṣit wanted to get clear answers from Srila Sukadeva Goswami. Text 10. Sachapi yatra purusho vishvastityudbhavapyaya muktatma maya mayesha sete sarva guhashaya. Please also explain the personality of Godhead, who lies in every heart as the Supersoul and as the Lord of all energies, but is untouched by his external energy. Purport. Undoubtedly, the form of the Lord who is seen by Brahma must be transcendental. Otherwise, how could he simply look upon the creative energy without being touched? It is understood also that the same Purusha lies in the heart of every living entity. This also requires proper explanation. Text 11. Purusha bhavaya loka sapalaha purva kalpatya lokar amus shabhayava sapalar iti shushruma. O learned Brahmana, it was formally explained that all the planets of the universe with their respective governors are situated in the different parts of the gigantic body of the Virat Purusha. I have also heard that the different planetary systems are supposed to be in the gigantic body of the Virat Purusha. But what is their actual position? Will you please explain that? Text 12. Yavan kalpo vikalpo va yatha kalo numiyate bhutha bhavya bhavachabda ayor manam chayatsata. Also, please explain the duration of time between creation and annihilation, and that of other subsidiary creations, as well as the nature of time indicated by the sound of past, present, and future. Also, please explain the duration and measurement of life of the different living beings known as the demigods, the human beings, etc., in different planets of the universe. Purport. Past, present, and future are different features of time to indicate the duration of life for the universe and all its paraphernalia, including the different living beings in different planets. We'll end with text 13. Kalasyanu gatiryatu lakshate nivibrityapi yavatya karma gatayo yadrishir dvija satama. O purest of the Brahmanas, please also explain the cause of the different durations of time, both short and long, as well as the beginning of time following the course of action. We'll end here and continue from text 14 on Wednesday. Devahuti, did you want to say anything or have any questions or anything, any comments?
Yeah. Second canto is supposed to be quite tough to understand, isn't it? That's what I've heard. It talks more about creation of this universe, isn't it, Prabhu?
Yes, so the title of the second canto that Prabhupada gave in English is called The Cosmic Manifestation. So Canto 1 is called Creation, and Canto 2 is called The Cosmic Manifestation.
You are able to hear me?
I can hear you. Did you hear what I was reading the names of the titles of the cantos in English. Canto 1 is called The Creation, and then Canto 2 is called The Cosmic Manifestation.
Manifestation, yes, and have with the details.
Yeah.
You have this, it's like, this nectar is so much that we don't want to stop.
Yeah.
We have to go on reading it, isn't it? That's what I feel.
Sure. Yes, I agree.
That time.
It's revealed knowledge, revealed truth. So these things are coming directly from the Lord. Actually, this is the Smriti, right?
Yes.
Shruti was there when Parīkṣit Maharaj was inquiring from Shukadev Goswami. That was Shruti. He was receiving the revealed knowledge from just hearing from the spiritual master. Same as Narada Muni, he was receiving the Shruti by hearing from his Guru, Dev Lord Brahma. Then Vyasadeva received the Shruti from Narada, and then Shukadev Goswami received that from Vyasadeva, and then Parīkṣit Maharaj received from Shukadev Goswami. So in this parampara system, they're receiving the Shruti, but in this Kali Yuga, we're more fallen and our memories are not so good. So by the grace and mercy of the Lord, the Shruti, was written down into Smriti, and that we're able to read these things. Still by the grace of Guru, still we need to take the instruction from Guru, but we're able to read these things because we can't just remember it all by hearing it once.
True. I can't remember, and I can't put it. Most of the time, I will not be able to understand. Also, we have to do repeated readings.
Sure. Yeah. As I've understood from Sripad Bhaktimadhava Puri Maharaj, a lot of these things that we're reading in the scripture, of course, cannot be, like rationally understood. These are things that are accepted through faith, and that are, purifying our heart, purifying our mind through that process of strengthening our shraddha in the Guru and the Shastra. So trying to be analytical about what we're reading in Bhagavatam is not the recommended approach. Although it is still a system, it's still a systematic theological system, but the approach must be a very humble one, and it can't be based on self-assertion. If we try to assert our own ability to understand things, we will have misconception and we'll misinterpret things, and it will be very not so nice. But if we actually engage in the process that Veda has described, through first ado shraddha, first comes faith, and then is sadhu sangha, and we're hearing from the sadhu, and then we're practicing the 9, the practices of bhakti, shravanam, kirtanam, smaranam, being more trying to be more humble than blade of grass, more tolerant than tree, giving all respect to others without expecting in return. If we're trying to practice like that, then maybe we'll actually come to understand the systematic theology that's there, because we're trying to understand it in a way that will increase our service. If we're trying to understand it in a way that will increase exploitation or increase renunciation, then we won't understand anything. But if we're trying only to increase our capacity to serve Sri Guru and Sri Guranga, then maybe by their grace only we will learn something.
You're right. The humility should be there. That's what we should take. Yes.
Jai Shri Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Srila Prabhupada, Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Gurudev, Srila Acharya Dev, Srila Shanta Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai, all glories to the Rupanuga Guru Varga Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the worldwide devotees, Samabhakta Veda Vrinda Ki Jai. Jai Devahuti Devi Dasi Ki Jai. Jai Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Nishanga Polidam Ki Jai. Gaura Mandal Parikram Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Baladev Subhadra Jagannath Ju Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Yamuna Mai Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Veer Govardhan Gupta Govardhan Dham Ki Jai. Sham Kund Radha Kund Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Vrinda Devi Ki Jai. Jai Kartik Mast Damodar Mast Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Harinam Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai. Scientific Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai. Princeton Bhaktivedanta Institute Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Institute Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai. Pidiya Shaka Mat Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Pramanandi Hari 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 Bol. Dhanavad Pranam.
Dhanavad Pranam.